Okay, guys, a few weeks back, the CFP Board, which controls the Certified Financial Planner Standard and manages the organization, released its latest ad campaign, which was targeted toward college students who are trying to figure out their careers. The gist of the commercials is, if you can't have the imaginary job of your dreams, like professional daydreamer, becoming a CFP might be the next best thing. The reactions from the CFP community online have bordered on outrage, or maybe even crossed over. With me today is Michael Kitces, the most influential financial advisor in America. Michael is the head of planning strategy for Buckingham Wealth, co-founder of the XY Planning Network, and publisher of the indispensable Nerd's Eye View blog, which can be found at kitces.com. Michael, thanks for being on The Unlock with me today. What was your first reaction when you saw the ads?
Honestly, something the effect of what the blank moment. The first one that I, like a number of advisors, saw was a particular static ad that started running on Facebook about a week ago that says, quite possibly the perfect job. A dude eating burritos with a thing in front of his plate that says lead burrito scarfer. And then right next to lead burrito scarfer, it says future CFP professional.
Crazy.
And I think I, like a lot of people, had just like a collective WTF moment that, like, hey, if you love scarfing burritos, financial planner might be an awesome job for you.
You know what? That's it. That's the problem. The connotation is that doing that is just like doing this. And I know that's not what they were going for. It's an ad. It's like a PR/digital marketing agency in Michigan called Lambert that created these. And the commercials, like the video commercials themselves, are not at all offensive. In fact, I actually think they're pretty effective. The issue is the still photographs taken from those commercials are like wildly off message. And Michael, I want to show a few of these and have your reaction.
Yeah. If you got some of them, cue them up.
All right, John, let's. All right. So unfortunately, you can't get certified as a bubble bath sommelier. The next one is, incredibly, there's no career called celebrity handholder. Not yet, anyway. Whatever that means. Shockingly, there's no career called chief self-care officer. This looks like a massage. Director of doom scrolling doesn't exist yet. That's a shame because I know a lot of people could do that.
I know.
Here's the professional daydreamer. I thought that was Ron Howard's daughter for the first time I saw it.
Got that red hair going.
Yeah, she's a great actress. What's this next one? Oh, they say find your dream job, but certified true crime podcast junkie doesn't exist. So if you just see the stills, you would agree these are trivializing like the profession of certified financial planning.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think your stills put a little more context to it. If you go on YouTube, I mean, like CFP Board's out there public, like this started with a video ad series. They're all like 15 to 30 second segments, and like not new. CFP Board's been doing video ad spots like this going back more than 10 years now. If you look at the video ads, you get the broader context, which I think plays out even more in the full video, as you highlighted, Josh. What it really comes down to is things like, hey, lead burrito scarfer is kind of a funny dream job that doesn't really exist. So if you want to like come back down to reality and find a perfect job that does exist, we have a thing for you that you
which I like.
Check out.
I like that message
for a certified financial planner. So yes, and like I think that's a very reasonable message. I've got some separate concerns about it, which we might come back to in a moment. But to me, like this sort of exists at maybe two different levels. The first, that I think it's hard for anyone to debate the other side, that they made some interesting video ads, they turned them into stills, and they just completely whiffed on the stills. Like they accidentally turned the message from don't like your crazy made up dream job, check out financial planning, into financial planning is your dream job if you have no aspirations and don't know what you're doing yet. And like, right. And so, I mean, literally, like there's a whole series of stills, like It's a dude scarfing burritos and it says financial planning is quite possibly the perfect job. It's a dude in a bubble bath and it says financial planning is quite possibly the perfect job. It's a guy sleeping on a sofa with like a little bit of drool coming out of his mouth and it says financial planning quite possibly the perfect job. And so I think I'm not joking. These are literally the ads, the still images that ran because the whole like, if you don't want to do that, try financial planning instead, kind of got missed. It literally looks like they're saying this is what financial planners do. And I think that's what everybody kind of appropriately freaked out about.
Now, these were ostensibly aimed at job seekers and young people, but you just mentioned one of these popped up in your feed probably because it's relevant for financial planning.
Yeah, Facebook tries to cross it up. I mean, right, like how did so many advisors get so pulled in this in the first place? Like it's because it showed up on our Facebook pages. And like I didn't start that. I mean, we saw XYPN has a very active Facebook community. They were like talking about it the moment it started showing up in some advisors' feeds. And like, look, some of that is just Facebook does the Facebook thing and it tries to find related audiences that might also be interested in this topic. And they did their thing. Like that's fine. I don't have any, Facebook's gotten pretty darn good at how they serve up ads. So I'm not going to second guess their algorithms and how they do it. But what it does mean is, financial, like CFP board's framing of, well, this isn't intended for you. This isn't targeted for you. It's like, okay, but you literally spent my CFP fees to put it in my Facebook feed to like insult me to my face. And then I got to sit there and wonder like, do my clients see this? Like, do my clients who also have an interest in personal finance, so maybe they're going to like show up in a Facebook feed as well. Like, do my clients and my prospects see a message from CFP board that says financial planner is a job where you eat burritos and earn $192,000? Because that's what their ads say, literally.
Right. And that's really my next question for you is like, even if this is functionally a great ad because it leads to a surge in people considering CFP track while in college, like even if they can demonstrate with data, hey, look, it turns out that ad campaign was a hit, it might still have been more damaging away from the data, but just almost like emotionally and spiritually for people that take what they do really seriously currently within the profession.
Yeah. Well, so a few things. One, like I do want to come back to, I will very strongly challenge their data that this is like leading to a massive uptake of future financial planners. But so I want to come back to that in a moment. That aside, look, I mean, the ironic reality of the CFP board is it has like a 50-year history of the occasional misstep that gets the CFP community up into an uproar, right? Like how they enforced against certain brokerage firms a couple of years ago, the way that they were listing fee only on websites, the infamous CFP Lite controversy of the late 1990s. Like there's been a whole bunch of these going back for decades. So for better or worse, like, look, organizations make mistakes periodically. For better or worse, as financial planners, and particularly those that like are really engaged in pushing the profession forward, like we take this really, really seriously. So we really notice when the CFP board makes a mistake. And I will say to their credit, while they've got a series of things that has cropped up, frankly, any organization with multi-decade longevity has its share of stuff. And I think by and large, they have been pretty good at taking feedback and recognizing like, okay, we need to not do that. Maybe we're going to shift over here a little. And I'll contrast this with, there was an ad series they did, I don't even know what it was, probably 6 or 7 years ago, that colloquially got known in the industry as the DJ ad. And it was
a great ad. It was fun.
So it was another version where this dude who's like a rockin' DJ, like gets his hair all cut and slicked back, gets put into a nice suit, gets put into a conference room, pretends to be a financial advisor, totally sounds like he's talking the talk. Like they did this with actual consumers that he fooled. Yeah. But of course, the dude had never studied anything about personal finance. He did not have a certified financial planner designation. And the whole ad basically built up to, you might want to check that your advisor actually has some credentials. And
nobody got mad at that. It was very effective.
There were some people who got mad about it, who said, like, really? This is weird. Why is financial planning being associated with a DJ? But getting back to your point, it was intended for consumers to help them understand there's a difference between a person who puts on a suit and pretends to be a financial advisor and someone who's actually gotten some training, education, experience at it. Right. And I think it was an effective commercial, even though there were people in the planning community that didn't like it, that thought it was silly, that thought like it was talking down to consumers. It's, you put any kind of marketing copy out there, someone's going to take a crack at it to say that they don't think it's on target. But it was to their audience of trying to show professionals that it matters.
It's hard to have fun, though, because, look, one of the best parts of the CFP community is how seriously people take their responsibilities and how much pride they take in the marks themselves, being able to say, I'm a CFP. But if you don't have fun, it's really hard to catch the attention of the consumer, the attention of college kids. Like,
I think particularly the attention of college kids that just have like this continuous bombardment of media coming at them these days. So look, like, this is why I kind of break it into two separate issues here, right? Part one is the static ads were just a screw up. Like, it just is. Like, neat video ad accidentally produced the 180-degree polar opposite, extremely insulting result, and ironically also accidentally put it in front of the planners who would literally be personally insulted by it. So, whoops. Okay, let's see how quickly we can at least pull the static ads, keep doing the video thing, right? And on we can march. The second issue to me is CFP Board still frames up at the end of the day that, look, like, we're reaching young people. I think that they already put out an initial comments in response to this. Like, hundreds of people have signed up for the information packet to learn more about financial planning as a career because people are responding to the ad and clicking on the ad. Now, aside from the fact that I'll bet a few of them are financial advisors that wanted to see what happens when you click on the ad, I'm sure they've got some. But here's the core issue. Like, the fact that they got some people who are having trouble deciding what they want to do and pursue as a profession to say, like, ooh, maybe financial planning is a thing and signed up is a long, long, long way from a person who 4 years from now finishes a financial planning degree program and 3 years after that is actually still in the industry and didn't get knocked out by what we have is historically like an 80+% attrition rate for people coming into the industry. And we've done a lot of research around this on the Kids' platform, like, like personality traits and psychographics that tend to make up who actually survives and is successful as a financial planner. And there's kind of three big things that we find in the data. Number one, financial advisors, like, categorically as a group, are astronomically more goal-oriented and future-oriented than the average American. Nominally, like, we talk about financial planning is help you achieve your goals. What we actually find in our research is that financial planners, our brains are wired as like goal pursuing machines that we then just like helping everybody else pursue goals the way that we like pursuing goals. We're extremely goal and future oriented.
It's like a certain type of person that comes into this to begin with.
Correct.
And the ad has nothing to, the way they were attracted to the profession was because of who they are.
It's like the opposite, right? So financial planners tend to be goal-oriented, future-oriented people. It's why we can help people through market turmoil because we keep focused on the future. And it's why we help them save for their financial planning goals because it's focused on the goals and the future. And so here's an ad that like quite literally targets people who can't figure out what their career goals are going to be. And I'm not knocking people who aren't sure what their career goals are. A lot of us move around in a lot of different ways in our lives, but if I'm trying to find people who are most likely to be successful in the profession, people who are struggling the most to set future-oriented goals for themselves, not the place I would shop first.
Yeah, these aren't them.
The second challenge, so like we find three things that tend to show up in who's really successful in the profession. Huge focus on goals and future orientation. Huge motivation to serve and help others. It shows up higher than money, goals, prestige, interest in finance, anything else. The number one most dominant trait for financial planners is a desire to serve and help others. So, when I think about that from the perspective, like trying to attract young people, it's like, hey, Want to help people but think personal finance is more interesting than organic chemistry? We have quite possibly the perfect job for you. Like, let's get people who are thinking about medicine but don't want to go through cell hell and come over to check out personal finance instead. Do you love finance but you'd rather work with people than corporations? We quite possibly have the perfect job for you. And you get all the people who are think finance is interesting and are moving towards like an MBA, but are going to realize that they don't really want to work in corporate finance. They want to work with people, right? The fascinating factoid in the advisor world is that we find is almost 25% of all CFP professionals have an MBA and career switched into financial planning.
Yeah.
It's the single most common degree by a country mile is people getting an MBA and then deciding they didn't want to work in corporate anymore. And, financial planning, you get to run your business, do your thing. You don't have to buy real estate or factory equipment like starting so many other businesses. Like, it's an amazing thing. If you like businesses, you have an MBA, you're into finance, but you want to actually like help people.
Yeah. So it's very off brand. If you're looking for helpers, I call these types of people, and you find them in every profession. You find them in every region of the country. It's a personality trait that dominates our profession. If that's who you're looking for, these people are not interested in bubble baths. It's very off brand.
Exactly, right? If you distill that down, like, who shows up as successfully as a financial advisor? Helpers who like personal finance that are future goal oriented.
Yeah.
Like, that's what our research shows every time we run this study.
I know two people who started as firefighters who became financial planners at first part-time and then went all in.
Yeah, look,
because it's that helper trait.
Yes, like help all the people, none of the burning building risk. Like, yay. and we do find that there does tend to be this third piece. Like, it's future goal oriented, it's want to help others, and it's people who have some kind of interest and proclivity towards money and personal finance. Not necessarily investments. We actually find interest in personal finance outranks interest in investments. Investments also shows up, but interest in personal finance, like, I like budgeting, cash flow, and saving, and investing, and accumulating, and pursuing retirement.
Your point is they're fishing. They're fishing in the wrong pond. I want to say something nice about the CFP board, because I actually think of all of the large scale organizations anywhere within financial services, they have to be among the top 5 most successful at preserving a brand and attracting new people to it continually. As of December 31st, 2023, there were 98,875 CFPs in the United States alone. And this is a global organization. But that's a 4% increase over 22. And in the US, obviously the largest community of CFPs in the world. But a couple of other things here. Last year's class of new CFPs was the most diverse in the board's history. 56% of new CFPs were under 35 years old. That's your bread and butter with
notably,
XY planning.
It was also the largest class in history. CFP Board graduated the largest cohort of new CFPs over the past 12 months in their 50th year anniversary. Right?
1,700
most people are stagnating after 50 years, and they're doing new highs.
Right, 1,700 of last year's new CFPs were women, which is an 11.5% increase over the prior year. So their messaging toward female advisors is working. The number of female advisors is up 14% in the last 3 years, while the number of male advisors is up only 10. The last thing, the number of advisors in the 40 to 49 age group increased 24.5%. From 24.5% in 2021 to 25.7% in 24, which means people who have been in the profession for 20 years are seeing the value in attaining this additional certification. So the CFP board has been wildly successful in both absolute and relative terms, and it's worth pointing that out.
Well, and I'll give even more context for it. If you dial back 25 years ago to the late 1990s, if you look at like Cerulli data, there were about 350,000 advisors and there were 35,000 CFP professionals. So basically like 1 in 10 was a CFP professional. You fast forward that today, it went from 35,000 CFP professionals to about 100,000 now. Total headcount of advisors is actually down slightly. We've gone from about 350 to 300-ish. And so we've gone from 1 in 10 were a CFP professional 25 years ago to 1 in 3 today.
Which is amazing.
And it's accelerating. And like the upgrade is accelerating because last year was their largest batch of new CFP certificates coming in, which I think is part of CFP going mainstream, right? Just you see it in consumer media and as well as within the industry, just consumers are getting the message. If you want a financial planner, like you should probably get someone who has some training, education, experience in financial planning. And the most straightforward way to tell is look for the 3 letters after their name on the business card.
What does the CFP board do? Do they quietly strangle these ads, but without any sort of fanfare or announcement, just kind of let it peter out? Or do they plan a new ad campaign that makes everybody happy and sort of seem like, you know what, we got that wrong, we're going to go in the total opposite direction? Like what's the right answer for the board?
So look, from my perspective, like I think they should just stand up and own, like the static ads were wrong, we screwed up and we're pulling them. Like just the static ones. Like just it's just anything? A flat out misfire by anybody's perspective.
Have they said anything?
They're taking feedback. I haven't heard anything.
They're definitely
say like they're
getting feedback.
The initial discussion that I saw was we've already had hundreds of people reaching out and putting their name through the forms. We're gathering students, and we're listening to feedback. Look, I mean, I get it for some extent. Like, there's an aspect of crisis management for any organization of like you need to act quickly, but not too quickly, because if you really act too quickly, you could like accidentally do a thing that's worse than the original. Yeah. So like I can live with them taking a few days here to kind of figure out what's going on. But like, look, the static ads, like they're just offensive. I don't think in any way it even connects with the people that they're trying to connect with in the first place, because it literally doesn't even have the message. It's got like the opposite message. It's not, if you can't get a job as a burrito scarfer, try this. It's being a financial planner is about scarfing burritos. Like it's just wrong. So I would pull the static ads. You can let the video run and do its thing and see how many people come in and gather the data. Like, sure. I mean, look, lots of marketing campaigns, you run them for a while, you gather data, you see what's really working, and then you decide whether you're going to iterate. My broader hope for CFP Board in that regard, though, is that they actually look at some of the data out there about what defines successful financial planners who actually survive the horrible attrition rate that runs through our industry. Because otherwise, to me, like they're spending $10-15 million a year with a giant leaky sieve, and they're just trying to pour water faster into a sieve with a whole bunch of holes. And like, you don't get more through if you pour more money faster into a completely leaky bucket. You're just setting money on fire. Yeah. So, folks like me and others do put research out there about what are the actual characteristics that tend to define successful financial planners, as well as some of the ones that don't matter. Like the industry likes to frame us as being very extroversion oriented. We find no difference between introversion, extroversion in defining success. We do it differently depending on our style, but it's not actually a characteristic to define success. There are people out there that have data that can show who is most likely to be successful in the profession. So can we target the marketing there? Like come up with your snappy ads that get attention, kudos to the marketing firms that have that level of creativity, but you still got to target people who are actually likely to become CFP professionals and survive in the job 7 years from now after they get through school, because we're targeting them young.
Yeah, and it's not just about getting
the profession.
It's not just about getting kids to fill out a form.
Correct.
It should be more about, did we get the right people and can they survive?
Yes, and being mindful of who we get is the single biggest way that we can determine the likelihood that they survive. Well,
I want to thank you so much for joining me today. You are the only person I wanted to talk to when this thing erupted. Yes. I'm not sure if we've seen the loudest of the outcry. Maybe that part of it subsides, but we'll follow the story, and I hope to have you back sometime. Again, guys, check out kitsis.com for everything you need to know about what's happening within the realm of financial planning. Michael, thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.